On the back it says, your landlord has started a court case against you for the non-payment of rent. Come to the landlord and tenant's clerk office in the civil court right away to answer the landlord's papers. If you didn't get any papers, bring this card. So our landlord has started an eviction process against us. I think the problem with needing versus wanting is more so semantics, because you don't ever need a person. You may think you do. It's more of a mindset, but you don't actually need anybody in your life, whether it be your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your wife, your child. You don't need them. You can survive without them. So I think that it's more so about reliability. It's about, do you rely on this person? Welcome to the Bamboo Project podcast, where you can see how we turn our life into a living. The purpose of this podcast is to show you the story of how I go from being a bike messenger to a billionaire, and some of my viewpoints of different topics along the way. So I want to shout out to the Bamboo Project family for tuning in to another episode, because I really appreciate y'all. When I go and I see the numbers going up, I be getting hype. So, and people who are listening for the first time, appreciate y'all. Shout out to y'all too. My name is DonivanGray. And Melissa needs to be paying attention to what is on the screen. Pay your producer.
Do you know what I'm doing?
It doesn't matter. What you doing?
I'm trying to fix something that'll make the podcast better.
What's that?
So when I go to my timer, I click this button here, but it brings me to this, so I have to move over to get to this.
You think right now is the time while I'm going down the list of things on the list? See how I was killing the intro? I was killing that shit, right? And then I'm like, okay.
I didn't realize you were reading it directly.
We didn't realize what?
Nothing.
You had to scroll all the way up. Where am I at on here, Melissa?
You're at my name.
So when I read this, I'm gonna be scrolling. You might as well put it at the top.
Oh, I thought you were just gonna start from the beginning.
No.
Okay. I hope they'll be here how he treats his producer.
Yes, because she don't be doing what she's supposed to be doing. I realized after watching the Michael Jordan documentary, I got to be harder on Melissa, because she'd be getting by too easy. That's the problem. We'll get into that later. See how he treated me? You were supposed to be ready. So, as I was saying before, I've interrupted by my girlfriend. My name is DonivanGray. If you don't have YouTube Premium and you want to listen while you're getting things done around the house, whether you be washing your car, doing laundry, or just driving around somewhere, we are on all major streaming platforms. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Music. You can find us on Stitcher, I believe. And we're trying to get on Amazon. We're going to look into that some more. And for other people who are listening to this podcast, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is called The Bamboo Project. It's a picture of me and my beautiful girlfriend together in the thumbnail, or in the icon. Facts. And we have 100+ videos of us doing cooking tutorials, travel vlogs, tips on makeup and hair growth, and we post multiple videos every single week. Consistency. That's what we're all about here on the Bamboo Project. So if you are listening and you want to see how we look, because sometimes, me personally, I'll hear a podcast and I go, you know what? I actually want to see how y'all look. So I go, you know what? What's your Instagrams? So here's your Instagrams for us. Okay. Mine is DonivanGray, DonivanGray. And my beautiful girlfriend's Instagram is AnetaBurn, AnetaBurn. My Instagram is the same as my Twitter. Now we have multiple different projects, right? Because we're doing a lot over here at the Bamboo Project. We have a food project. We have a clothing project. We have a fitness project. We have a music project. We have a sports project. And we have the Bamboo Project podcast. You can find all the different Instagrams in the description, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're listening to this on some audio platform. Okay, I'm doing consultations, so you can contact me via DM at DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and we can set something up for consultation. Now, as I have said before on this podcast, let me take a water break. Sometimes these episodes can get very long, right? So for that, we know people might want to see timestamps. They might see a clip somewhere and go, I really want to see that specific part of the podcast. but I don't know where it was in the video or the audio. So what I did for you guys is I decided I was going to go out and put the timestamps of the video in the description. So you can go and click on that specific timestamp and go exactly to which part of the video or audio you want to listen to. Okay, so today's agenda is life updates on my path to being a billionaire, episode playback, which is where I recap anything I missed in last week's episode, and the topics I want to talk about. And today's topics I want to talk about are Andrew Schulz, who I have a interesting, I don't know him, but I what I see him do, it'd be bothering me. Having people help you, which is something I have a problem with. I don't really like asking for help, and I really don't like having people help me. And democracy, right? It's a little, I'm not really a fan of it, and I feel like it's kind of been a trick that we've been told to think works, and it doesn't work. I'm going to get into that later as to why I believe it doesn't work. So starting off with what's been going on with me over the last week or so. So some people who have listened to this podcast for a while will know that I bought a table, a $900 table, because I was in a rut and I was trying to figure out how can I get out of this rut. And I told myself to do that, I have to just do something, no matter what it is, because if I don't, then I get stuck in something called analysis paralysis, which is where I try and figure out, do I do A or do I do B? And while I'm sitting there thinking about it, I don't do anything. An example of that, funny enough, happened the other day. Very small example. In our basement, we have our Luxor One, which is where we go get our packages. So sometimes the elevator, there's only 2 elevators in the basement, and there's 4 in the lobby. So when I'm leaving the Luxor One, I be like, all right, should I take the elevator down here or go up to the first floor and possibly have a better chance of catching the 4 elevators, right? So while I'm standing there, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take the 2 elevators. Then I go to the 2. I'm like, wait, no, maybe somebody's using them. So if I go up to the 4th elevator, I can see to the 4 elevators in the lobby. I can actually see, let me run that back again because I'm going to just give a little bit more details as to that, why this happens. In the lobby, the elevators actually tell you if it's on the lobby level, on the 2nd floor, or the 25th floor. In the basement, they don't tell you that. So if you're in the basement waiting for an elevator, you'll be waiting there forever. And because it's right underneath the lobby, it should come quickly, only if somebody is not using it. But if I go to the lobby, I can actually use 4 elevators because the other 2 are working, and I can see, okay, where are the elevators at? So that's my choices. So as I'm thinking about this, I'm not actually going upstairs or going to the one in the basement. I'm just kind of standing like, okay, I should go to the one in the basement. And I walk to the stairs and go upstairs. I go, no, wait, I should go back to the basement. Then I turn around and go, you know what? I should go back upstairs to the lobby because I could probably. So this is what I be doing, and it's analysis paralysis, which is why I said I bought a table, because when you're doing stuff like that in your life, if you can't decide between one thing and a second thing, you just decide and end up doing nothing. You're just sitting there stuck trying to decide to do something. So I decided, for me, I felt like I was stuck, so I went out and I bought a table because I wanted to just do something. The table was shipped and it was delivered. It came in yesterday. It's actually over there. I'm gonna put a video up of it on my Instagram of what the table looks like. I'll probably put a picture up too. I'll put it on the podcast page. That's what I'm gonna do. I'll put it on the podcast page, and then I'll put a link of the table I bought in this video also. It's a nice floating table. So listen, like I said, be here with that. And it's supposed to help our productivity because I feel like we only have this table that I'm doing the podcast on, and I want to, I want to increase the work that we can do, especially with what is going on in our life right now. I think it'd be very good for us to be able to work from multiple places, because when you work and you're on the bed, you get really tired. You don't really want to do anything. You fall asleep over and over again. And that just reduces how much work you get done in a day. So I'm like, you know what? I need to fix that. I need to figure out how can I get more work done without falling asleep trying to get things done. And then on this table, it's kind of small. We eat on this table, we work on this table. If me and her are both sitting at the table, we can't eat and work at the same time. So it's just kind of cluttered. So I guess I'm gonna put the video up of that on my Instagram or on the podcast Instagram mostly, and I'll put the link of what it looks like in this description. So also, I had talked about a loan before on the podcast. My plan for the loan was to get the loan and then use it to add with our own money as a down payment on some real estate. And I had applied like 3 times. I applied under my own name. They was like no, because of some other. They said I didn't have enough. I didn't have a website. I need an online presence to be able to get it. I explained in the previous podcast or 2 or 3 podcasts ago why they didn't accept me for that. And then I had Melissa apply. She got rejected because they felt like she didn't need any money. So then, oh, my gain is up mad high. That shit is up at the maximum level of gayness. Gayness. So they was like, yeah, you don't really need any money, Melissa, so we're not giving you any money. So I said, damn, maybe if I use one of my companies and apply under the company, I can get a loan. They were like, nah, it's a duplicate, we know it's you. I'm like, fuck. So I tried again, and then I tried to use an email, and that's actually on one of the podcasts before too. It was happening during the podcast where I was applying or checking my emails to see if I got accepted for it, and I couldn't find an email because my actual email that I had used for it was backed up or clouded or locked or some shit. So I had to like pay for more storage for email. So I got hyped because I found an email from them in my junk mail, and they said that they were gonna give me $25,600. So I'm like, oh shit, it's about to go down. Like I could finally pay for the real estate. I could pay off my debt. I could pay off any other money I have, and I don't have to go to work as much because I can use the extra money to pay for expenses and then pay that back by going to work. So I was hyped. I'm like, oh yeah, because I got to like the 3rd step of getting a loan. I wake up one morning and they're like, nope, no money for you. And I'm like, wait, what? Why am I not getting any money? And I had to wait 2 or 3 days to figure out why. So it's funny, after the last podcast, I was hyped. I think I found out about it after the podcast. We had did it, so I didn't really talk about it during that podcast. But then between then and now, I got to the 3rd step and I got rejected. So where was I? So I got rejected because they said that I applied again under the same person. I think that's because when you use LLCs, they are considered pass-through companies. So if I apply under the LLC, it's still connected to me. It's not necessarily its own independent thing. So when it went through the system, I guess it came up again as DonivanGray is the person that's applying through this company. And they were like, nah, we're not doing that, which I think is silly. Maybe I did it wrong, but so that's a dub. So we didn't do that. So we have to go back to the drawing board because that was going to be our plan to get the real estate to be able to get out of the situation that we're in, which I'm about to get into in the next 10-15 minutes. I also wanted to bring up Kelley Stamps. I talked about her before on this podcast. I feel like she's doing, check out her video, her YouTube channel, Kelley Stamps, Kelley or Kelley Stamps. She'll come up when you put Kelley Stamps. I think she's getting back to her videos that were actually really good content, which I really fuck with. So I was not fucking with her videos for a while because I felt like she was getting into a situation where she was trying to make videos to make money for on YouTube, and they didn't feel like her being authentic. They were kind of corny in my opinion. They were boring. But I feel like now she is getting back to making videos that she enjoys. So or at least I know I enjoy watching them because they're more of what I started watching her for in the beginning. And she's moved around a lot. And funny enough, if she ever sees this, I think you need to work on your game, because I think putting your legs up in the middle of a walkthrough of an apartment you're trying to rent is not how you get a man. I don't think that's the best way to get somebody. She was going very hard. How old is she? Was she 24? She's kind of young. So I feel like, listen, if you call me for consultation, I can show you how to get a man. That's not how you do it. Putting your legs up. She was doing. I'm gonna tell you what happened in this video. She's moving to Boston, I think. I don't know if you guys have heard about this before from this podcast. She has moved back and forth like 5 or 6 times this year alone. She moved from Cali to here, then back to Cali, then back to here. Then I think she was thinking about going back to Cali. Then she decided not to go to Cali, so she went to Boston instead. So now she lives in Boston. And she was trying to find an apartment there. So she's black. She's a black woman. And it's weird because she don't have white. I wouldn't call her white. Like, she don't seem white to me, but she definitely has some quirky tendencies. And she was flirting with this white real estate agent, and she was showing him that she could put her leg up, pretty much straight up in the air like they do in ballet. And I'm watching a video, and throughout the video, she's doing things that were, some of them were on purposely flirting, but other things I feel like were like, damn, Kelley, your game needs some work. Like, you gotta, like I said, call me. I got you. If you want to find how to get a man, I got anybody, or a woman. I can help you out with both of those things. Let me know. Consult me. DonivanGray, DonivanGray. Hit that on DM. So I just thought that was funny that she was doing all of that. And I don't know, maybe it worked. I doubt it did. But the fact that she was going after a white man, I feel very uncomfortable with that, because I don't like when I see black women with white men. It makes me uncomfortable. We had an episode on here before. My cousin was saying that she feels like black women should be able to date whoever they want, because the pool of black kings is very low. And the black kings actually don't want to date the successful black women. They want other kinds of women to date. So that makes the pool even smaller for those black successful women. So they should be allowed to date whoever they want. But she feels like a black man should have to date black women, because what was the reason? Do you remember what she said was the reason?
I think because you guys have the pool to like choose from.
Yeah.
So because you're desired by everyone, you need to be more selective.
Oh, right. Exactly. Because we're I think she said we're the most desired. I feel like that's what she said, something like that. Because black kings, not just black men, just the good black men are desired by so many people, that we should then be selective and then help the black woman. But because black women are not desired by anybody, or not desired that much, or they are only sexualized, that they should be able to choose anybody that they feel like treats them right and helps them. You know, I disagree really, but it was a more complicated conversation, and I'll link that video here, so you can go back and check that out. That was, oh yeah. So another person I saw on social media recently was Lizzo. I've given her a lot of slack on here too, because she's fat, and I don't think that she should be as fat as she is, and I also don't think that she should be as big as she is and doing what she's doing as far as wearing the clothes that she was wearing. Particularly, I'm talking about the Lakers game. I feel like that's ridiculous. I don't like the argument that people always try to make, where they feel like, oh, well, if she wears it, I should be able to wear it too. It's like, yes, if somebody has worked on their body, if somebody's worked on their body, they should be able to wear certain clothes. They should be allowed certain privileges, because they have earned those privileges. Just because you're a human does not give you the same privileges as somebody else. That doesn't work like that. You have to earn certain things. However, what she wore to that event, I don't think that anybody should have wore that to that event, especially if you're a celebrity and everybody's looking at you. But I think it's even more so for her, because now it's not even attractive that you would wear that outside. It just looks nasty. But for her, I guess she's been vegan for a while. She's losing weight, and I think it's funny too, because same thing with I think it was Monique. Fat girls, they love to be like, look at me, I'm fat, I love myself, I'm a fat person, and y'all should not shame me for being fat. As long as my doctor said I'm not dying and I'm healthy, I should be able to be fat. And I'd be thinking, you're lying to yourself. Nobody wants to be fat. If you had a choice, I don't think anybody would want to be fat. You may not want to be skinny, but you definitely don't want to be overweight fat. And one of her logic was, oh, because I could be on stage, I guess, somebody said this, it was out there, that she's on stage for multiple hours dancing and whatever, that she's in shape. And I'm like, just because you have stamina don't mean you in shape. You are still fat. Like that, you have a lot of energy because you're fat. All of that fat stored up is energy. You got to get that out, so you have energy on stage to do that. Which is probably why people who are skinny have less energy, because they're not as fat. But the reason I'm bringing her up is because I feel, she was posting that she lost weight. So I remember when Monique used to shame all the skinny people. Oh, y'all are skinny bitches, and oh, y'all look like little Cheeto sticks and shit like that, right? And then she started losing weight. I think she might have gotten surgery. I'm not sure if she did, but she definitely lost weight. And now she likes the way she looks. And I think it's funny because they do this thing by being fat, and they accidentally or purposefully empower other fat women, even though they themselves don't want to be fat. So now you have fat girls looking up to other fat women because they go, oh, well, she's fat and she's, quote, air quotes, confident, I should be just like her. And then the fat girl who they looked up to goes and loses weight. And it's like, well, damn, I didn't know that you cared. Like, you wanted to lose weight. I thought you wanted to stay fat. And it's like, nobody wants to be fat. You shouldn't be looking up to people that are fat for being fat. They are just lying to themselves, and because they have a public stage, they're lying to everybody else who hears them speak. So Lizzo was actually losing weight. I saw that she was posting that she's vegan. She's eating better. So I, shout out to her. I appreciate the fact that she is, setting some kind of positive example for people to be like, being fat is not a good thing. Lose weight. It's not, like I said, everybody does not have to look the same. Everybody does not have to fit into the same dress or whatnot. But I think we can all agree that there are certain people who are just too fat. She was one of them. She's still big, but she's trying. And you can't do anything about somebody who's trying. You gotta applaud somebody to try. And I listened to Joe Rogan's podcast recently. And it's he has somebody on there called Unbox Therapy. You know who that is? Yeah. His name is Lewis. He has a Unbox Therapy channel, and he has like a little podcast or like maybe like a TV station on YouTube or something like that. It's called Lewis Later, I believe. And he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, I think like 3 or 4 times, way before he was as big as he was now. Yeah, he was on there a lot. So I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. I want to hear what he was talking about. I always like to hear what people or how people were before they were successful, or even during that journey, which is why I'm making this podcast now, because at some point I'm going to be out of this hole that I'm in, and I just want to see what I was saying, how I was thinking while I was in the hole. It's just something to look back on. So they were just talking about having the podcast. No, what was he talking to him about? He was asking Joe Rogan about the podcast, and he was pretty much saying like he just does it. He was like, he doesn't really have a goal necessarily. He just wants to have good conversations. He said he would do a lot of those things even if he wasn't getting paid for it. He's like, I just enjoy talking to my friends. He was like, when you were coming here, I'm excited to talk to my friend who's coming to this podcast. We just recorded. And for me personally, that's kind of what I want to do, because I enjoy talking to people also. But I'd have to, as far as having good conversation with people, I feel like there's not many of those that I would have, but I do enjoy talking to people to see how they think. But he was saying that when he first started the podcast, people were like, Joe, you cannot have a podcast that's 3 hours. Nobody wants to hear that shit. How would you ever put a podcast out that's 3 hours long? That's craziness. But you got to edit it. You got to cut it down to 45 minutes. Nobody has an attention span of 3 hours. And he was like, yeah, I don't care. I'm going to keep doing this. And I like to do it, so I'm going to do it. And it's kind of similar. So he said he's going to keep doing it. So funny enough, I heard today also that the same guy that told him to cut his videos down has his own podcast that are 2.5 hours long. So when he first started, he was like, Joe, cut it down. Joe became successful. He's like, you know what? I'm going to make my videos 2 hours, 2.5 hours long. So another thing too, which is why I have the podcast kind of set up the way it is the guy from Unbox Therapy, I think his name is Lewis again. He was saying that how his business is set up for what he does. When he'll go to like a shoot, the people there will go, they try to give him like things to say and how to position the product, and how he shouldn't really necessarily wear the hoodie because it's not as professional, right? Exactly. And he's like, I already amassed a big following doing it like this, like doing it just this way. Why would y'all want me to now go and do it differently? They're like, yeah, we just think it'll be better if we do it like this, right? And he said sometimes sometimes he does kind of submit to that, and other times he doesn't. But I think he was kind of asking Joe, like, how do you get around that? What?
I think that's crazy.
Why?
Like, cause the people that, if you're coming to me because you want me to do this thing for you, you're trying to appeal to the people that I do. You're trying to talk to my audience that I have. Why would you tell me to change what I'm doing for my audience? That's
the thing. So I feel like with them, they feel as though, because at the end of the day, you might think of Nike as working with Lewis, but it's actually John, the assistant manager at Nike, who's working with Lewis. He's not the owner, or he's not on the board or anything like that. He's just a regular dude that has a job to work with another guy that's an influencer. Because he's not, Lewis compared to Nike is nothing. He's absolutely nothing, right? But if you have a guy who works at Nike, he's like, oh, well, I need to get promote it. So if I could find a way to make myself valuable, if I could tell this guy to not wear that hoodie, then I now have some type of I guess dog in this fight, or I have like skin in the game by being able to say, yeah, you know, that Lewis guy, he came on I had to make him take his hoodie off because he didn't know that he can't wear the hoodie. I told him that. That's why he, right? But I mean, you probably, but he feels like I need to be able to do something, because at the end of the day, if Lewis goes over there and they don't do nothing, he just goes in there, he might as well have stayed at his house and did it in his studio. Why do he need to partner with them like on that level? It's not necessary, but they feel like they need to do something to him.
I guess it depends on the extent to which you're working with them. Like, is he doing a commercial for them?
It was, I think it was something like that. It was probably, I think he was doing a video for them, but it might have been there, like at their place or something. I don't remember the specifics to it. But the thing about it was like, it helped me with the podcast because, like, for one thing that I kind of was kind of going back and forth on the podcast with was having a schedule, not a schedule, having a format, and then just trying to figure out what I like to do. I feel like today is a really good podcast because it feels good to me. It feels natural. I don't really have to, I'm not really worried about anything. It's just something I'm kind of being myself. So I'm enjoying that part about today's podcast. And I was just trying to find out where I fit into what I want to do. So when I listened to Joe Rogan, he talked about it with his, and same thing with the other guy. He was like, they both have two different things that they do, but they both do it differently, but they both do it the way they want to do it. And I think that's the best part about it. And even I think even Kevin Hart talked about this too. Kevin Hart and Lewis probably was saying the same thing, where they're like, they don't mind working with other people, but they do like the autonomy that Joe Rogan has. Like, he just does anything he wants to do whenever he wants to do it all the time. That's just how he works. And like I said, I want to get to a situation where the same thing I'm doing right now on the podcast, we just take everything else out from here, move us and this camera or a new camera to a bigger house, a bigger studio, a bigger place. We have money, everything is just great, and we're doing the same thing. Like, that's my goal, to be able to do the podcast and just be like, wow, I remember those days where it was just like, we had a camera, we had some lights, or we had a light and the sun, and we just did a podcast. So, and then when I get to that point, I'll be able to make money doing the same thing I'm doing right now, which is one of the reasons that I started the podcast in the first place. So like I said, I think that podcast, listen to that clip, definitely, I listened to the whole thing actually. That actually helped me with my own podcast, because it just told me to just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. It'll work out somehow. You'll figure it out along the way. Recently, this is the update, another update about what's going on with me recently, right? Yeah. So as I said before, I've been working in Queens, doing bike messaging, and I have decided that, not that I will no longer be doing bike messaging, but I am definitely transitioning a lot harder out of it. The only reason I'll be doing it now is to pay the bills that I currently have, and maybe any other bills coming up. I had made a plan last week to come up for a saving plan for the property. I was trying to figure out how can I work and make the money to save for the property. But I don't think that's the best idea now because of how much I have to work to make the amount of money that I was making. So here are some numbers. When I worked, I think last week I worked, how many hours did I work last week? I wonder how much that would be considered if I was like working a 9 to 5 or something. Last week, did they have promotions this week? Let me see, they upped the promotions. Nope, nothing. Last week in Queens, I made, where's the thing? I made $971.36. And I worked 35 hours and 55 minutes. I took 101 trips. So that, the math on that would be, see, 971.36 divided by 35. Let's say 36 hours divided by 36. It's about $26 an hour, $26 to $27, $26.98 So $27 an hour is what I was making last week. And I think that's a decent amount of money. I could have made more, but I would have had to work a little bit more. So the problem is that for me to, I think, make the money that I needed to make, I would have had to be making about $1,300 a week, only working 6 days. So that means that I would have to make $216 a day, $217 a day, just to make sure that I clear the $1,300. And to do that, I would have to work 8 hours a day for 6 days, and that is 48 hours a week. And the only way I could do that, because my battery would not last me all day, is if I woke up, which I started to do at 8 a.m. and then I work for 4 hours from 8 to 12. Then I come back home. I maybe take a shower, maybe take a nap, maybe eat something, work on something possibly if I have the time to, and then go back out from 5 to 9. Then I come back home. If I get back home at 9 exactly, which I'm not going to do because they'll have me 5 miles away from here. I got to ride all the way back to the house. And by the time I get back here, it's 9:30, 10 o'clock. So now I'm eating. Maybe I watch some of a basketball game. Then I fall asleep at 12 o'clock, or maybe 1 if me and Melissa are even having a conversation at that point. And then I can wake up again and do it again at 8. So I realized that this does not work for me because I'm going to kill myself I would have the $16,000 saved up in 5 months. However, for the plan that I have, it doesn't really help because if I have the $16,000 saved up, then I will have $35,000 for a down payment on a property. But then we have to actually start the process of the property. So because of that, we would possibly get evicted in that time. So we got a card recently that said that our lawyer, is that it over there?
It might be.
Oh, y'all are playing. Nobody's here, kitty. Relax. So we got this card from the Civil Court of the City of New York Housing Court Clerk. So this is what it reads on the back. It says, your landlord has started a court case against you for the non-payment of rent. Come to the landlord and tenant's clerk office in the civil court right away to answer the landlord's papers. If you didn't get any papers, bring this card. So our landlord has started an eviction process against us. Why is that? Because we have not paid rent since the coronavirus situation has started. The reason why is because I felt like things could go wrong, which they did, and it wouldn't make sense for me to pay the rent and then not be able to do anything else, because I'm like, we would have paid the rent and I would have no money right now. I would have paid all the rent every single month, but I would be dead broke, and then I would have lost the job that I was working at, which was Caviar, because they got bought out or absorbed by DoorDash, and then everything would have just been fucked up. So I was saving money to the side just in case something that does come up, and I'm like, okay, I can pay off the rent. But then, as you guys know, the last 2 months I wasn't working. My bike kept breaking down, so the money that I was saving up I had to put towards my bike to get back to work to make money. And then also there's a moratorium. So I'm like, okay, I don't believe that it's possible that they would, that the government will allow people to be evicted after they force people to stay home. Like, I don't, it just sounds weird to me if they would even do that. Anything is possible, and I'm fully aware of that, but I don't see how they would do something like that. So because of that, I'm like, all right, this is the plan. We're just going to save up our money and then try and get, I was thinking that if, depending on how long they have the moratorium, they can evict us when our lease is up in February. So we would stay here and then continue to work and make the money to pay off the rent and then move or buy some other stuff. So that was the plan. So, like I said, the reason why the original plan of saving for the real estate would have not worked is because we would have had the money by February, let's say 8th or something like that, or 10th. And then we would have had to go and find a property, and then to sell it or flip it or whatever we would have done, it would take a couple of months. So in that time period, right, we would have not been able to live here if they had told us we can't stay. So I thought, hey, maybe I could just go and live at my dad's house until we buy the property and flip it and sell it and take that money and then pay off our old debt and then pay off our own personal debt and then also pay off the money we owed for rent here. That was the plan. But then I called my aunt, and my aunt tried to tell me that she doesn't feel comfortable with us staying at the house. Mind you, she doesn't live at this house. It's my dad's house, and he passed. So she was like, well, one of the family friends is staying there with her son, and he's probably like, he's in his 20s, maybe I don't even know how old he is. He might be 19 or in his early 20s. And she feels like my aunt that the friend that's staying there, who's a woman, would not be comfortable with me and Melissa staying there. Cause I told her I would stay there, and then she was like, "What's gonna happen with your girlfriend?" And I'm like, "She would come." She's like, "What? She gonna come? You're not even married. How's she gonna live there with y'all? How is that gonna work?" And I'm like, "How does us being married change the fact that she's staying there now? Whether we're married or not married, we're still two people living in a room for. And mind you, it wouldn't be for indefinitely. It's until we have the money that we used and got. Until we have the money that we got from flipping the property. That was the plan." She really went back inside the box. That's hilarious.
I think she likes the view.
Yeah. So that was the plan. But she said no. She didn't say no. She was speaking on behalf of the person living there, which already tells me that she herself is uncomfortable with it, and she doesn't know if the family friend would like it or not. She didn't ask her. She just assumed that she wouldn't like it. So we were trying to figure out what we're gonna do, because I believe that if we leave here, then I have to stay at my mom's house, and then Melissa will have to stay at her mom's house. That would put a rift in everything, in the businesses and the relationships and anything going forward. It would just make everything a lot harder to do, whether it be the podcast, whether it be posting videos on YouTube, whether it be making clothes or music or just anything like that. I think it just make everything with us, because we're connected, it would make our life a lot harder. So we're trying to figure out how to navigate that. So we decided, okay, no, I was working yesterday, and I was saying this too. I was working yesterday, and I thought I was gonna make a lot of money. I woke up, or a little over $200. I woke up to find out that they no longer were giving promotions on Uber Eats. So the money that I made last week was not gonna be the same money I made this week. I would have to work more hours this week to possibly make close to or a little bit more than what I made last week. And that's only if it's not raining, because I don't work in the rain. Why don't I work in the rain? You might be like, yeah, Donovan, you should work in the rain. You might make more money. Trust me, I have videos of me working in the rain. I might even post, if I find a video, I'll post it on the video. You can see me working in the rain, because when I work in the rain, the water gets in my bike. I have an electric bike. There have been multiple things that have gone wrong with my electric bike. One of those things is when the water gets into it, the bike thinks that there is electricity running through it. So it just takes off by itself. Whether I'm pulling the throttle or not, it'll just go. That's very dangerous. If you are in a car and you're sitting at a red light and the car just takes off by itself, an accident can happen, especially if it's raining. Also, things stop working on the bike, and then also it just breaks down. So that just makes it, and I got to pay for things that were broken on the bike. Things like that happen. So that's why I choose not to work in the rain. Also, there is zero clothing. I have been doing this job for 5 years. There is zero clothing that I can wear that will keep me dry, especially working in Queens, because I'm not inside. So in Queens, it's orders back to back to back, and they think I'm in a car, obviously. So they have me going 3, 5, 7 miles to take orders. And if I'm doing that and I'm just sitting in the rain, I'm gonna get soaking wet. And there's nobody that wants to ride in the rain for 5, 6 hours in a row just soaking wet. No one wants to do that. So we decided, okay, what can we do in the meantime or what can we do instead of that? Because like I said, decided fuck the whole biking thing. It's a dub. It's over. It's not making money anymore. People I talk to say it's fucked up. It's just the whole game is messed up. So we decided to do wholesaling. Right now, some people who don't know what wholesaling is, it is a real estate method of making money. So you have a person A and who owns a house. You have person B who wants to buy a house, and you get a contract from person A, the seller, and you say, hey, I know your house is fucked up. I'll buy it from you for $50,000, right? And then you go to hold on, my head's itching. Person A is selling the house for $60,000. You go to them and you say, hey, I'll buy your house right now for $50,000. They go, but I want 60. I go, listen, your house is fucked up, the plumbing is messed up, the lighting is messed up. I'll give you 50 for it right now, all cash. They go, sure. So then I go to person B and I go, hey, listen, I found this house, 60K for this house. I sell it to you right now. You invest in it. You can flip it. You get, make it's worth 120 when it's renovated. He's like, oh, sure, I could do that. So now, as you heard, the person that I got the house from selling it for 50, but I sold to person B for 60. So I keep the extra 10. Now, I don't ever actually have the house in my possession. I don't actually ever own the house. I just have a contract that I assign from person A to person B, and I keep the difference. So we're going to start doing that. And I feel like I feel like we're going to make money from it because we're going to go hard in it. And I think that anything that we go hard in, we're going to work. For me personally, I know that there's nothing I've ever done that I've tried and it didn't work. It just depends on how much I want to put into it. So with this, I decided it's the only option we have left. So I'm going to put everything into it because I'm like, there's literally nothing else, any other option really. Let me not say there's obviously other options, but this is the best option that we see right now. So if we can sell a couple of properties, I was told yesterday by one of my friends that the average price for these things is $3,000 to $5,000. I think it's at 3 to 5 or 3 to 10, something like that. If that is the case, which I have seen people make more money than that, then if we do 5 deals, that's between $15,000 and $50,000, and that's enough money to cover the rent that we owe, the personal debt that we have, and put a down payment on the property. So if we can do that between now and when our lease is up, then we'll be fine. That's the plan. So like I said, we're gonna go hard in that, and we're going to you're gonna keep you updated on the journey on that. So we also this is unrelated to that really, but I thought about going hard on YouTube too, but I think that wholesaling, I think we should just focus on the wholesaling thing. Like we might, are you still gonna be posting videos on YouTube?
I was thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we have enough videos out to take a hiatus.
I don't like that word.
Why don't you like that word?
That's not consistency.
I mean, the podcast was all good.
I think you should post other videos. I don't think it should necessarily be whatever we're doing before, but I think you should still post like
what we're doing now.
I always think cooking is the easiest one to post. I think that's the least. You said you're gonna do my jacket. You don't have to really. I still have to work, so I'm gonna have to work at some point to pay whatever bills we do have. Mm-hmm. So there's that. But like I said, I don't think stopping it in its entirety is the best idea. I think this is part of the journey, which is on the Bamboo Project, is seeing how we go from here to there. So I think just figuring out a way to incorporate that into the videos would be good. And what else? What else is here? Clothes, podcast, food, music. I mean, you can definitely still do music. I think you definitely sing. How do you feel about that? What's your opinions? Like your honest, truthful opinions.
I really want to do the most that I can with this.
Okay.
I feel like
because we still have to eat, and I feel like if we start doing that.
Yeah, but it's not like I'm truly gonna try and learn new recipes and stuff. That takes time. Like not to the same extent, because everything that's on the site. That's on the YouTube. A lot of it I've made. I guess the things that I haven't made yet, I'll put up. Mm-hmm. But I don't think there's a lot of those left. Probably 10 videos maybe. And after that, that's all the food videos pretty much. Everything will be up. Mm. I would still like to do clothing.
Okay.
I think I could still probably do a lot of it.
And I don't think you have to do everything that's on there. I think I said something. I think to go from what we were doing before to a podcast a week is not really.
I could probably put up 2 videos a week.
Which videos?
Of just.
Cause I'm like, I think.
Probably a regular one and then a singing video.
So no sewing videos.
I said a regular video.
Something I was thinking you could do 3. I'm thinking you could do a music one, right? A cover, something about wholesaling. Whatever you learn that week, I mean, that could be a video, whatever you learn in wholesaling as a beginner. And then the third video would be whatever you maybe sewing or making a food or something like that.
Okay,
So,
I like that.
yeah, so something those three. So yeah, I think the plan is if
we're gonna start doing pranks. And
I don't know why she even said that word on this website, on this podcast, because I despise that word. So I want to. There's certain things I like about YouTube. How much time is it? What are we at right now? I know we passed the minute mark.
Yeah, definitely passed it.
I think it's fine though.
We are at 46 minutes total.
Okay. So the thing about the YouTube, right, is that there are certain things I want to do. I want to do street interviews. That's something I find that's fun to me. I think reaction videos would be fun for me too. I think those do well on YouTube, and I also like doing that. Probably particularly about maybe basketball or anything I like to just watch. However, I think that those would be better to do once we're finished with the wholesaling thing. Now, if we find a way to finesse wholesaling where we can actually do this well enough to not have to do other stuff, then I think you will see a new birth of the Bamboo Project. You will see us actually doing all the things that we had planned to do, and this will jumpstart all of that. Everything we jumpstarted. The real estate we jumpstarted. I don't know about travel because, coronavirus and shit, but we might be going out more. We might be doing stuff, buying more stuff. Maybe we move to another apartment. But
honestly, I really want us to get maybe like, if we can afford a 3-bedroom.
That's a lot, but okay.
There's a lot of projects.
Yeah.
There could be a studio room. There could be just a sewing room. At most 2.
You sure? I feel like 3 is a lot. I feel like 2, you could definitely put everything in there. You could sew in there and cook in there. I mean, I feel like you just take the one room and just change it whenever you're doing something different.
See, I don't want to do that. I want to walk in.
But then you would need 8 bedrooms.
No. Because I'm still there. So, first bedroom is the bedroom we sleep in, right?
Okay.
Second bedroom would be the photography room. So
okay.
That's taking pictures. Be a thumbnail could be taken there. Like, so it'll have the lights. It'll have everything set up. It might have backdrop paper and all that stuff. So it's like literally a photography room. That's what it is. And then the third room would be for creativity / office.
What about recording?
Photography.
I mean, I feel like that's the same. Like, you're gonna do everything in that room.
Multiple cameras.
But you're gonna do everything in that room. Because if you're doing a video on clothing, you're gonna do it in the photography room. So you have the lighting.
Multiple cameras.
What is that? Wait, what? What are you saying?
You're right.
I feel like everything will be in that room. We just move it out the way. I mean, and honestly, if it's the video room, everything that if you bring you might not cook in there because it's not really a kitchen, but you just bring in the sewing machine, put it on the table. So.
Get a hot plate, put it on the thing.
Oh, well, yeah. On what, this? We might not have this. We might have we have a 3-bedroom now. I don't think we might need this in a 3-bedroom.
Right. We can talk about this.
Yeah. So, okay. So, like I said, but either way, if we can figure out how to finesse this wholesaling thing, because even the guy, his name is Namiah. You can go find his YouTube channel, Namiah Jeffrey. He started it recently. I'll link that also in the description below. He's into real estate. He just bought his first property a couple months ago. He just bought his first shit, and he already got a tenant that he already got. He's about to refinance in a couple of months and buy another property. Listen, I'm trying to get in the game because what I'm doing now is not working, and I have big plans. I just need to get over this hump, and I feel like it's something weird. I feel the wholesaling thing in my chest, like it's gonna work. I don't really understand how or why. I just feel like it is. I feel like it's something that if I put my energy into, it has to work somehow. And whether it works at a high level or at a low level, I think even at a low level, I'm still doing well. If I can get it to a medium level or at a high level, that's just astronomical. It's just amazing. But a medium level making $4,000 a deal is good. Because I'm thinking right now, I make probably close to $5,000 a month. Probably between $4,000 and $5,000 a month is what I would be making if I was still doing back messaging at the level I was doing it before. So from now to the end of the year, that's $12,000. If I could do 4 deals for $4,000, that's $16,000. That's only 4 deals, and I have 90 days to do 4 deals. I feel like I should be able to do multiple deals between now and the end of the year. That's how I feel about it. especially now between when we move out or whatever happens by then. So I just feel like we have no choice but to learn it. Oh my God, my nose just got crazy. I don't know what just happened. Yeah, I'm thinking about I might have to get the cat back this week too, and I want to clean up the house and vacuum and everything, and then maybe when we move, we'll bring her back and then keep her outside of the bedroom or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But maybe we get a 2-story. I don't know. That's what I want to do. So yeah, that was what I what's going on in my life recently. So this is the part of the podcast where I go and I kind of recap last week's episode and things that I saw when I watched it or listened to it. What did that mean? Slow down. Okay. So
the time, and he was like, so we not.
I feel maybe I don't know. I didn't think that when it happened. Yeah. So the reason that last week's episode, in my opinion, would start off kind of wonky is because I had a story that happened with my bike that I was going to talk about on episode 27, but because my sister came on, I pushed it to episode 28, but I didn't remember the details of the story because it was a week or 2 weeks later when I talked about the reason. So the thing about the story was that it was, like I said, it was just that I didn't remember the story. So when I was reading it on my notes, I'm like, okay, the bike story with the guy, yeah, he fucked up, he did some weird shit again, he fucked up. And then that kind of set me off the wrong path for what I had planned on the podcast as far as the flow of it. So that's what kind of messed me up with that. And I don't think it's too much structure with the problem. I just think it was more so that I didn't have that story ready the way it was supposed to be ready. So like I said, I've actually enjoyed the structure right now that we have for the podcast. Oh my goodness. I actually enjoy the structure that we have right now for the podcast. It feels good. Even though certain times we go over and under, I think it's good to just have a structure there. So what had happened with that bike that week was that the guy who was going to fix the bike was saying that he was going to fix it, but he wanted to take my throttle and give it to another guy that gave it to me the first time. He wanted it back. And I'm just like, bruh, you can't just be telling me you're going to come over to take the throttle and not fix the bike. Like you're not doing any of those stuff. And again, as we already know from previous podcasts, he said he's going to come to do certain things. And he didn't come. Same thing happened again. And then when I had got the bike fixed, I had tried to plug it in, and is that when it exploded? I don't know if I talked about that. Either way, like I said, some bad shit that happened that week. It's really not important, but that's what fucked up me last week on the podcast, was that I just didn't remember the story specifically. And as far as the roles in relationships, which is what last week's episode was about, or the topics were about, I think that it's because I had said something last week that I feel that it's better for. I know. I said that I built necessity into our relationship as far as me and Melissa, and what I meant by that is that I feel like we should need each other. But I think the problem with needing versus wanting is more so semantics. Because you don't ever need a person. You may think you do. It's more of a mindset, but you don't actually need anybody in your life, whether it be your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your wife, your child. You don't need them. You can survive without them. So I think that it's more so about reliability. It's about, do you rely on this person? And for me, like I said, I think that's a better way of putting it, is that I built reliability into the relationship. So there's certain things that I want to rely on Melissa for, or I choose to rely on her for. And I think that if you don't rely on anybody in your relationship, then that's when you have a situation where people feel like they are useless and they don't have any purpose to be with you in that relationship. They don't have anything there. It's just, well, you do everything. You do the cooking, you do the cleaning, you make all the money, and you do all the reading, you do all the sport, you have all the friends, you have all the everything. I don't add anything to you. You're perfectly good mentally and emotionally. You don't have any need for me. You don't have any. There's no not reliability. What's the word for reliability? What's a noun for reliability? There's no there's no reason for you to rely on me. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. And I think that when I talked about it before, the reason why I did that is because I can tend to not want to rely on people because I know that people can hurt me. So I decide, you know what? I need to make sure that at least I have somebody to rely on, because I think it's healthy to have to divvy up certain responsibilities to other people, because it one, to become so overwhelming for you to do everything by yourself, or for me to do everything by myself, and then it also it takes away from the other person's purpose in that relationship. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I just think it's better to have responsibilities for the other person to do. And then I also think it's important to make sure that I don't overstep and take away their responsibilities by trying to do what they're doing. But what the flip side of that is, it hurts because people will not do their responsibilities, and then you feel as though, or I will feel as though it's an attack on me, because I'm like, okay, I am removing myself from the situation and allowing you to do this thing without getting involved. But then when you don't do it, it negatively impacts me. And we're going to talk about that later when it comes to having people help you. That's why I personally don't really like to have other people helping me. So like I said, I think for a relationship, it's better to have a person you can rely on, and then that other person has to be doing the things that you rely on them for. So I think that's important to have. But I don't think you should be solely, or there's another word for independent. It's another independent word. I don't think you should be 100% independent in your relationship. I think you should definitely have the other person. You should rely on them for something. And like I said earlier, when I had the headphones in, listened to the podcast before, it sounds a lot better with a format. It actually flows better, I believe. I feel like it's easier to listen to when there's a format. So like I said, I definitely I enjoyed that. So I don't have any Donovan's questions. Actually, I don't have any Donovan's questions today. So the first topic I want to talk about was the democracy thing, because I feel like everything we kind of think is real is probably not. It's a scam, whether it be money, whether it be the internet, whether it be democracy. And the reason why I say that is because I think people believe that democracy is the best option, and it sounds like it is, like, oh, everybody gets to choose what they want to do. We all come together and we just go, oh, we choose to go over the hill, or we choose to go and swim in the water. We all choose to stay right here. We all come together as a collective, make a decision, right? I think the problem with democracy is that when you have somebody, which would be the educational system here, it dumbs everybody down. So we're not all making informed decisions. If everybody is telling you, or I'm gonna give you a scenario, okay? Like I said earlier, we're going over a hill, right? Think of it back in the tribal days. So we're all in the forest, right? There's 3 different guys, and they're all trying to get the crowd of people to go in one direction. Now, one of the guys is running around to the crowd and saying, hey, listen, man, I'm telling you, over that hill, there's a lot of money and food. There's a lot of food over that hill, right? And everybody listens to him. Everybody listens. They go over the hill and they get a bunch of food. That's how democracy is supposed to work. What we have here is a system where, as the people are growing up, they are not being taught to think for themselves. So in a situation where everybody's in a tribe, we're all taught, hey, we should all listen to the tribal leader. Whatever he says, we do. And that's how we live right now. So imagine a situation where a tribal leader is saying, we're all going to go and swim across the water. And everybody's like, okay, but there's a guy who's saying, listen, there are sharks in the water. We cannot go in the water. It's not good for us. They know what they call him? They call him a conspiracy theorist. They go, why the fuck would you say that there's sharks in the water? That's crazy. The tribal leader told us that we have to go that way. That's what we have to do. And we're doing what he says. And the guy's like, but I'm telling you, I can see the sharks. If I throw food in there, there's sharks in there. They go, listen, you're just saying lies, and I'm not gonna believe you, and we're gonna follow him. So everybody follows him, and we all go jump in the water, and we all die, right? Now, the reason why I compare this to the democracy that we have here is because the media is the tribal leader. Celebrities are the tribal leaders. They are telling us what we think is real, and what we think is what we're supposed to think. And you don't teach kids growing up here what they should think. We don't teach the kids what would benefit themselves. We teach them what would benefit the society as a whole. And society as a whole is not meant to benefit themselves. It's meant to make America great again. That's the purpose of it. It's like, oh, we're going to make America great. Well, you know what make America great? If everybody here was slaves and all we did was make stuff for America. That makes America great, right? So when you have an educational system where nobody's taught about taxes, nobody's taught about what race really is, nobody's taught about money and financial independence, nobody's taught about meditation, nobody's taught about what food is good for them. You're not taught about any of those things. But what you are taught is chase all the money. You're taught to just be an employee, and you're taught to eat whatever food is closest to you. And when you have a large population of people thinking like that, it's a very slim chance they're gonna make a decision, an informed decision based off of who's running for president. They're not gonna know who's running for president. They don't care who's running for president. That's not what they've been taught their whole life. They've been taught to either follow red or follow blue. If blue says vote for that guy, I'm voting for him. If red says vote for that guy, I'm voting for him. Nobody says, you know what? Yeah, both of them are pretty stupid. I don't think that either one of these guys are a good choice to run this country. They go, yeah, but I'm blue, so I have to vote blue. And it's like, but the red guy is making more sense than the blue guy. Yeah, but I'm a blue guy, so I can't vote for him. And this is what happens when you don't teach people to actually think for themselves. So this is why I think democracy is not really meant to work, because if the population that's democratic is not being given information to make a good decision, they're gonna always choose for whatever the person that's telling them to choose for chooses. That's just how it's gonna work. So that's why I feel like democracy it works in theory, but it's more of like a easier way to control people. What do you think about that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think that another thing too is like the video that your mom sent.
Yeah.
That's interesting too, where we don't even know who to vote for.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody thinks it's the president that's the most important one that's making the rules and stuff like that. But like the video said, he's just approving the laws that's presented to him. So it's kind of like if you want to make changes and stuff, you have to focus on who's making the laws, and that's the Senate. That's your local representative, congressmen, and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna post that video also down here. Can you press the button again? Yeah. So there's a video. It's not bad, but actually, can you press the button with your hand in front and see what happens? Okay, that's a bit better. So this is another thing about the whole election situation happening right now, right? There's a video that was out that I posted on my page in my story, which is really funny. It's a guy talking about, he's actually rapping about the whole election process. I'm going to post that link in this description. So he was saying that the president's job is to approve laws, right? Whichever laws the Congress gives to him, or the Senate. Okay, whatever laws the Senate brings to him, he votes for, right? He goes either yes or no. He doesn't write the laws up. Now, a lot of people also don't know this about laws, is that laws are usually written in a very weird way, where the law may say, let's say it's called the CARES Act, like for I'm gonna use a totally imaginary law. Let's say this is called the Donovan law, right? So Donovan law may say everybody named Donovan, No, it will say everybody in the world, everybody in the country will get $1,000 a month, right? Everybody goes, that sounds great. I like that idea, right? The law will also say that anybody that lives in Queens has to be a slave. And you will go, wait a minute, that sounds kind of crazy. Wait, what? But I want $1,000. But it's like, if you want $1,000, you can get $1,000. But just know everybody in this one city has to be a slave for you to do that. So now you're like, it would be better for the country to pay everybody $1,000, but we don't want to have slaves. Now this comes across the president's desk, right? He has to go, do I vote on this? Now he chooses yes. Everybody's mad at him because they go, oh my God, president, how could you allow there to be slaves? And he was like, well, I was more so concerned about $1,000 a month, right? And other people are like, yeah, we love the president because he voted for the $1,000. And people get mad at them because they're like, damn, president, you fucking with the slaves. What are you doing with this? So a lot of laws are written with other things inside of them that may negatively negatively affect multiple different people. But the president gets to choose which one he wants to side with. He can side with the things that he likes, because he's the president, he makes that choice. He's rarely going to side with things he doesn't like. He may if he's one of those, mature people, but he's a human being, so more likely than not, he's going to choose whatever he likes to choose. What was the other one?
What was I saying? What was the other one? So the president votes. The president picks the laws, and the other one is what? Somebody writes the law. What does that person do? That's the judges. They enforce the laws.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody enforces the laws, somebody writes the laws, and then somebody approves the laws. That's the what's it called? The balancing powers. What is it?
The branches of government.
No, there's a name for it. They used to call it
Checks and balances.
Yeah, there you go. Checks and balances.
Congress writes the laws.
Congress writes the laws. The president approves them, and then what's the other one?
The judges enforce.
What is their branch name?
Executive branch, the legislative branch, and the
I feel like it's judicial, but I'm not sure.
It is judicial branch.
The judicial is judges. Legislative is writing laws.
That's the Congress. So that's the House of Representatives. That's the Senate, which is the Congress and House of Representatives.
Okay.
And then the executive branch is the president.
Okay. So the reason I was bringing this up too is because I think the video was fire. Put it in the description.
I think it's funny because they teach us this, but they don't really go into details about how it works.
They don't because here's the thing. Like I said earlier, the media runs what we think. It's not really even school systems. It's the media. So think about. I want everybody listening to this. Everybody listening to this. I want you guys to just take a second and think about what I'm about to say. Okay. Every 4 years, it is big news about who we should vote for. Every 4 years, we all care about who's the president. We all are like, oh my God, the president is running for office again. We have to go out and vote. It's very important that we vote for him, right? Why is it that there is not this big hoopla for all the other times we have to vote? You don't see it in the news. You don't see campaigns. You don't see anything anywhere at all ever. It's rarely seen that we have to vote for other people. Honestly, until I watched that video, I didn't even remember. I knew we had to vote for other people. I didn't know when they ran or anything like that. But what?
Funny enough, the voting for them is more frequent. It's every 2 years.
Yeah.
But I've seen like people run for maybe what is that called? Like for local. Mm-hmm. I've seen that. That's the most I've seen.
Yeah, I've seen people run for stuff that's not for president, but nobody is on social media telling you to vote for them. Nobody on the TV telling you to vote. I don't even know who these people. I don't even know what those people's opinions are on different. I don't know. I have no idea. There was a guy that my mom was running against. His name was Joe Ingles. And another thing that's funny about this, they don't have a 4-year term, so they can be reelected year after year after year after year after year, over and over again. But we don't know who the people are. We've never met them before. But they're in Congress, or they're not in Congress. They're in the government making decisions over and over again. The reason why we say the president shouldn't be there for more than 4 years is because they feel like he has too much power. That's what they tell us. But it's like, okay, if y'all feel like that, why is this other guy able to be whatever he is for 25 years? Why is that? If we care about people have too much power, why is he there? He shouldn't be there then, if that's the case. So that's what I say about democracy necessarily not being the best option, only because they have diluted or polluted the minds of the people who are actually making decisions on who becomes leaders. So if you make everybody believe one thing that isn't true, and then tell them to go out and vote on somebody, of course they're going to vote on the wrong thing. Or of course they're not going to vote at all. They don't know what's going on. And that's not a problem when people start telling me to vote. I'm like, don't come to me about voting, because I know that if you're pressuring me to vote now for the president and you care about Trump versus Biden, you are not there for people who are voting the only other times. You don't care about it. All you care about is what people on social media told you to care about. You only care about people on TV told you to care about, and people who are walking down the street talking about, oh my God, I can't believe you voted for him. But if I come to you and say, hey, because if I got mad and I say, why the fuck did you vote? Why didn't you vote for that guy 2 years ago? What's he going to say? Well, I didn't know he was running. Well, why are you so pressed with the president? Because he's the president. What does he do? I don't know. He's the president. And I feel like, don't come to me about voting if you don't know about voting at all. You don't vote. If you're not, honestly, you probably be voting every single year. Probably, I've had to guess, there's probably multiple elections every year in different categories.
I'm pretty sure. And if you are not voting every single year that this happens, don't talk to me about the damn president. I don't care because the president, from what I've seen, does nothing. He has never. I have never seen. And honestly, now that I think about it, if the president's only job is to approve laws and go to war, then all he's doing is approving laws that somebody else wrote. He ain't even write them. He didn't even come up with them. He ain't write them.
He can make executive orders.
Right, executive order. And then it's like, executive order to do what? What executive orders have we had? Can you Google something like 2 of them?
Well, one that I know off the top of my head is the one that added the $300 or $400.
So he gave us money.
Yeah.
Okay, so executive order, most recent that the president did would give us money. What's an Obama executive order? Because I'm like, if that's all they can do is make executive orders out of nowhere, just make up law and just do it, then I want to know what they were doing, because we are so pressed about who's the president that he needs to be doing something. Because if he ain't doing shit, which is what I've seen, they ain't doing nothing, then, well, we shouldn't care that much about the president. I don't care who the fuck the president is. I don't care. Because all he gonna do is approve a law that some racist dude wrote anyways. Think about this, right? If you're the president, which is Obama, sitting in the office, and he has a racist guy A and racist guy B give him a law, and he has to pick one of the laws, what do you think he's gonna do? How he gonna pick a less racist? He gonna pick a less racist law? Sure, it's less racist. It's still racist. It's not gonna help people. He gonna pick a law that helps the people that wrote the laws in the first place. The fuck? He's not picking no laws that are gonna freaking help the people that need to be helped. But you know what we did? We didn't vote for the people that were actually making the laws. Fucking ridiculous. That lady just passed away. I think she was there for like 100 years. Was it Ginsburg? That's her name?
Yeah, because the Supreme Court, they don't want the reason why they want who's ever on the Supreme Court to be there until they die.
Yes.
And that's because apparently they will not be motivated by the president or by whoever it is to be swayed. They're supposed to be unswayable because there's nothing in jeopardy with their jobs, basically.
That's ridiculous.
That's
Yes, that's what they tell us. That's ridiculous. If the whole purpose, if that's the case, to make the president there forever till he die. If that's how y'all feel. If y'all logic is we don't want y'all to be swayed, then make the president there forever. And honestly, he does way less than they do. So why if you were writing laws, right, and he's approving them, everybody should be in rotation.
And then the important part about the judicial branch too is because, like you said, the laws are written in a way where they are not absolute. Yes. They're open to interpretation.
Yes.
Guess who, you know who interprets it?
President.
The judicial branch. That's who interprets it.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's what he was saying in the video, was that the judicial branch interprets it, and that's why, which I think is so crazy to me. That's why certain people end up in jail, because, and this is another thing too, and this is, see, that's what we need to focus on when it comes to race. It's not the fucking president. The president don't do shit, because one thing I've been trying to understand racism and how it operates without having laws on the books, and this is exactly how it works. It's the word interpret. That's what fucks it up, because if a black guy beats up a old white lady, it's craziness. It's like, oh my God, you are I can give you 1,000 years in jail. I'm gonna do that right now. If a white boy beats up an old white lady, the judge can go, I can either give you 1,000 years or community service. But I interpreted what you did as an act of, maybe I wouldn't even call it sanity. I think it's a learning curve for you, and I think that you need to be able to grow past this. So I'm going to give you 6 months in prison, because I know that you are not as bad as they are saying you are. But that's fully up to the judge to make that decision, to decide if you get 1,000 years for the same crime as somebody else. But we are worrying about who the fucking president is. We want to go, then the president is the one that approved the law. Fuck who approved the law. Who's putting somebody in jail? That's all I want to know. Why are people in jail? It ain't the president putting nobody in jail. If anything, he taking them out of jail. The judges are putting them in jails. And then, honestly, listen, fuck the president. I don't care who the president is. We need to get, because the problem that everybody has with America is what? The laws are racist, and people and there are too many black people in prison. That's the black people problem we have in America. Now, how does that happen? How do too many black people get put in prison? The judges put them in prison. Now, why are the judges putting them in prison? because there are laws that black people are breaking. Who wrote these laws? These other people that we don't even vote for. They making laws like crack laws, and those are the laws that the judges get to choose who goes to prison. And then what the president do? Crack bad. Yes, approve that law. And then he goes back to doing what the fuck he's doing. He be chilling. But no, we every 4 years, who's the president? Like a fucking TV show. Who is the president this year? Da-na-na-na-na. And then it's fucking Biden or Trump. Like who? Bruh, come on. What's an Obama executive law? I'm curious. So this is my reason why, like I said, why I think this shit is stupid. Why I think fucking democracy is not working as it's supposed to. Maybe, you know what? And maybe, am I wrong? No. I mean, it's definitely not working right now. But it's not working, like I said, because people don't know what it is. That's the problem. Nobody's really taught us. They said it, but we wasn't taught it the same way we were taught to go to college. Teach me that shit. They should be every time there's a voting thing, make everybody go to vote. Close the schools every time. Say, listen, we're going to vote today. Every time we have a vote. Fuck the president. We should never vote for the president. I don't care who the president is. I don't care. I don't care who he is. I don't care. Because Obama didn't do much, in my opinion, but sure.
The executive order he did was restricting federal funds for abortion.
What? Did y'all hear that? So this is Obama restricted federal funds for abortions. Now I don't know what that means. Maybe right. Maybe you got to read more of that. That was a headline. So maybe it's everybody love Obama until you read about Obama and you be like, damn, I don't really like him like that. Listen, everybody's been lied to. That's the problem. That's the real problem.
What? This happened? It's not a headline. This is the Wikipedia page for the executive order. So the executive order, I can read this?
Yeah, I just want you to be less what it is.
Less what?
Dark.
Oh. Okay. Executive order 1353-5. Okay, let me say that over. Executive Order 13-535 was an executive order announced by President Obama on March 21st and signed on March 24th of 2010. So, yeah, it restricted federal funds for abortion within the context of recent healthcare legislation. It was signed after an agreement with anti-abortion Democratic Congressman Bart Sutpak, who said that he and other anti-abortion Democrats in the House of Representatives would not support the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act unless the bill's language prohibiting federal funds of abortions was strengthened. So many anti-abortion organizations did not like this. Funny enough, did not like this executive order because executive orders can be rescinded. And then pro-abortion rights groups also did not like this order because they were questioning Obama's commitment to the pro-abortion rights position. Sheesh. National Organization of Women, Planned Parenthood, Emily's List, and Naral Pro-Choice America were among the pro-abortion rights group opposing the executive order. I didn't know this was a thing. But I don't know. I don't know what happened after this order, but this was an order that was put into place. I don't know if he rescinded it.
We found out Trump granted federal aid to
federal aid.
Yeah, to abortions. How do you feel about that, Melissa? Would you be pro-Trump if that happened? If you found out that Donald Trump said, I think that, I mean, he wants to shut them down allegedly. I don't even know if that's true. But how would you feel if they found out he granted federal money to abortions? Oh, she's funny. What time is it? Is it 3? Oh. She missed her mamas. So, yeah, you guys heard it here first. So, like I said, this is my thing. This is what I always say about even with the freaking pandemic thing. If you did not go and research something yourself, if you did not say, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to go look this thing up. Then you don't know anything about what you're talking about because you only heard and learned it from the news, from TV. from your friends who also didn't read shit. Now, I don't even be trying to find this kind of shit out. Like what she just said. Now somebody will come to me and be like, you don't fuck with Obama. I'm like, listen, I don't fuck with him or not fuck with him. But did you know that he did this? They're gonna be like, no, he didn't. I'm just, listen, this is what he did. I don't care about it that much, but you love him so much and you don't even know that he did this thing. That's how I feel about it. And as me personally, I have found out different things about Obama. This is not the first time I have found out things about Obama that people were not fucking with. People, if you talk to people who actually go into politics, they'll tell you what the fuck is wrong with Obama. You can look this stuff up. If you if you get information passively, then you are not the person. If you did not seek out information and you only got it passively, what you know is probably wrong. Okay, that's just what needs to be said as far as that. An example on that. Recently, there was a story that's happening right now with a girl who is was twerking in the Salt Bay. If y'all remember him, the guy that sprinkled salt, like he do it like this. He sprinkled it like this, right? And he sprinkled the salt on the food, and everybody called him Salt Bay. Now he had a restaurant that was opened up in Boston. Was it Boston? Yeah. A couple weeks ago, and there was a girl twerking, and some guy ran in there screaming and yelling. Right? Story came out, let's say, on a Wednesday. Story was, this guy runs in, beats up his girlfriend for twerking. Right? Then it was guy runs in and I think the girl was twerking for Salt Bay. So the guy runs in, he's mad. That's the first story. Second story is guy runs in and what was the second story? Do you remember the second one? There was another story. Either way, did he beat her up? Yeah, I think they were saying that he forgot some money and he had to go get some money. He came back and saw his girlfriend twerking and he was mad. Second story was he came back in and his girlfriend was not his girlfriend. It was his sister. And he was mad that his sister was twerking because she was underage. Third time story came out. The girl that was twerking wasn't even related to him or nothing. Girlfriend, sister, nothing. He was actually mad at another girl who was actually in the back of the situation. Yeah. Yeah. The one, if you look at it right now, the story is that the girl was twerking. He didn't care about her because he ran to somebody else who was behind her. And honestly, I think she got out the way if you look in the video. Either way, this is my whole point about what I'm saying. Is that people just be going off of headlines mad quick because people are too lazy to do any research, and then y'all make decisions based off of the lazy stuff y'all have done. This is the problem. So also another thing that came out with that, and they said that they tried to word it like his place got shut down because of what happened in that video, and that's not true either. Do your research. So I'll say earlier I said I want to talk about Andrew Schulz. He's a white dude, comedian, friends with Charlemagne, who I also think is like, I'm not a fan of Charlemagne, really. I feel like, again, he's one of those, he falls into that category of, we have been told he's supposed to be good and helpful for us, even though it doesn't really seem like that. I don't think he's very smart. People say he is. I don't think he is. But then you have Andrew Schulz, who I have said before on the podcast. I think you have call him racist is really strong because I don't think he's like kill all the black people racist, but I think he has a passive racism in him that I'm not really a fan of. But I feel like what he's doing right now with his content, I'm not a fan of at all because I feel like he's just making drug content. So most recently, he came out and said that what was it? It was about. What was he talking about? He was talking about the YouTube algorithm. Oh, the social dilemma thing that came out recently. He was saying that he feels like he benefits from it. So he's like, you know what? We got paid. We get paid from it. So it's it's not that bad. And I just feel like his content is literally just trying to disagree with what everybody else says publicly. He's just trying to not even sensationalize. He's trying to be controversial on purpose, and I think that's silly. My cousin called me controversial before, like last 2 weeks, because I think that the whole mask thing is stupid, and I'm like, just because I disagree with you does not make me controversial. This is what I really believe. I don't think he's doing that. I think he's purposely just making content for you to sit there and be outraged and yell at, which is the problem that we have with social media in general. People like him making those kind of videos and that kind of content. It's just what can I say that goes against what everybody else is saying so you can watch my video and get views? I don't think he's actually adding to anything. It's just silly. That kind of content I call it's like drugs, and I don't think it's the good. Nobody should be on drugs. I think that it should be some type of valuable information that he's giving you. He could do it in a form of comedy, which I think is fine, like Dave Chappelle, but I don't think that he's doing that. I think he's just literally trying to say the craziest thing so that somebody can come and watch his videos. And of course, you're gonna get paid from it. Of course, there's a lot of crazy things you can do that morally are wrong that you get paid for. But saying that I get paid for doesn't make it an okay thing to do. Like I said, I don't think his content has healthy value. It's really sad. He's gonna keep. I mean, he might keep growing, but I feel like he's gonna plateau because that. I don't know because it's a weird situation where, and he was going at Joe Budden. He said that he asked for $250 million, and he said that that's crazy. I don't know where he heard that from. And then, like I said, he's just the type of person that I feel like he is one of those like underhanded people that try to win a situation. They try to do the slimy kind of things that win, whatever the case might be. I stopped watching the Brilliant Idiots podcast. I never listen to Flagrant 2. People do listen to it, but I mean, what kind of people listen to that? I don't know. And then I just feel bad when I see stuff like that. I'm like, bruh, do you really want to make money that bad? Like really that bad? Like for me personally, I'm a very heavy Joe Rogan guy. I feel like even though he says something that I wasn't a fan of, I like his content because I don't feel like I feel like he's being honest with his content. I like people who are being honest. You're not just doing things to get clicks for your videos. That to me is just, it's hoeing. You selling your ass for videos. That's what you're trying to do for clicks. And I feel like if you're gonna sell your ass for clicks, you could be a gigolo or a stripper or whatever. But it's unhealthy. So I guess that's why I'm not really fucking with his videos anymore. If you don't believe me, you go look at them and you can see what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I don't think I am. And then this is the last thing I want to touch on before we get out of here. It's my personal issue with having help in situations. Because I feel like if I have to rely on somebody, then it just opens me up for things to not go right. And my brain always goes to, is that a part of the process of learning something? Is that certain people, you just have to go through those growing pains with anybody? Is that everybody's not going to do right by you all the time? I don't know if that's true or not. I feel like maybe it is, maybe it's not. Because I'm always quick to be like, I'm just going to cut it off once I feel like my brain goes to that. But then I also try to be rational and go, okay, Donovan, you can't cut everybody off whenever you try to rely on them and it didn't work. You just can't do that. People have to be able to learn certain things. Okay, it's getting better. And you can't do that. So, and that's one thing. That's one problem I have. We approach things differently. I prefer, which is kind of what I do with the Bamboo Project. I prefer to build something great by myself, and then other people I can kind of share with other people. I don't really like the mindset of I need to get other people. Like I need to like work with other people to become bigger. I don't like that because then I feel like I have to compromise on things that I want, which is what I've seen many times before, where people are like, okay, I want to do X, but they don't want to do that. So I need to now sacrifice whatever I believe is true for whatever they think. And I personally don't like living like that. I like to live where it's like, okay, this is what I think. We can have a conversation about it, and I don't feel like I should have to be forced to sacrifice what I want. And then if I don't get what I want, I have to lose everything. I don't like that kind of mindset. I'd rather come to the table with my own maybe fan base or my own what's the word I'm looking for? What do you come to the table with? My own leverage. I rather come with my own leverage as opposed to being like, okay, I need you to do something for me, or I need to be with you to get to where I need to get to. I don't like having that. So the guy I talked to yesterday, said that he would go half with me on a house. So I'm like, all right, cool. And I feel like it's helpful to have somebody on your have people like that around you. But my experience usually is that I hold people to a higher standard than maybe I should. And when that happens, what I end up getting disappointed by what their actions are. So I have to try and figure out, is that a me thing that I feel like I shouldn't hold people to that standard and I should expect people to be unreliable, or am I picking the wrong people? And if so, what about my character is picking the wrong kind of people? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So that's why when it comes to like having help, I'm kind of just like, I'd rather just not do it, because I'd rather build it myself, and that way if the other person flakes or becomes unreliable, I'm like, I'm fine. It doesn't actually affect me or hurt me. But when I actually bring them in and we're connected, now it's like, okay, if you're doing something wrong, it does affect me, and I don't like being in that kind of situation. So that is me. That's my personal opinion as to why I don't like having help to win, because I feel like it just don't be going right. It don't be going right. I'm not really a fan of that. So let's go. So ready? Yes, about to check out. I gotta come up with a.
I feel like earlier you were talking about the health thing in regards to me too. You say we're gonna talk about it later.
Yeah, it's similar to what I said, where it's like, I know that nobody can do things by themselves. I'm fully aware of that. But it's a battle within myself of figuring out what I shouldn't do and what I should do, or what I should try and do. Because if I'm allowing somebody else, if I'm relying on somebody else to do a task, how much should I be involved in that task? Because if there's the saying of, if you want something right, do it yourself. You can't do everything yourself though. I can't be like, well, I want to learn how to build a table, and I want to learn how to, I don't know, whatever other shit that I might have to learn how to do. It's like sometimes you just have to go, you know what? I trust that you'll make this table the right way. When you're done, I'll buy it from you. And I feel like with, like I said, with us, I have to figure out how much should I be involved in it. And then it's like, okay, when do I say you're not doing your whatever responsibilities, or I can't rely on you? When does it get to that point? So I'm trying to find that balancing place of like, okay, where is that at? I mean, I'm talking to you. I mean, I was talking. I didn't ask a question really. That was just gotta say my thoughts.
I mean, yeah. I know we had the conversation that we had the other day.
Oh yes, I forgot about that.
Is that what you wanted to talk?
No, I forgot.
Oh, so I think that sometimes that's needed.
What to talk?
Yeah. To kind of like reevaluate, or just kind of recenter. Because I think what you said was true. That basically, like, sometimes that I try to do what I could get away with doing for that day, and I didn't know it was so apparent to you when I do certain things or say certain things. But I also didn't know. I think that when we have those types of conversations, it kind of reminds me of how important those things are.
What things?
I don't know, whether it's, I guess, cleaning up, food, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And how much it affects you. I think that if I don't view them, if I don't think about how it affects you in your day to day and stuff like that, then that's when the problem comes in. So sometimes I lose sight of it because I've been doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it, and then I might do it a little bit less and do it a little bit less, and then it gets to a point where you're like, are you still doing this thing? So yeah.
I don't know what you just said. I don't understand. So you're doing this thing.
I'm doing the thing I'm supposed to do. I might do it with less of quality, or maybe I might miss a day or something like that. I don't if that happens frequently, I don't put into how unstable that becomes for you. So yeah.
Yeah, so even when I hear that, my thing is, because I've had with one of my old friends where this would happen, where it's like I have to keep having these conversations, and for me, it's like I don't think that should happen. Me personally, I don't think that should happen. But it also comes down to how people view friendship. What time are we at right now? Yeah, I don't think that people. It comes down to how people view relationships with friends. I don't believe that there should be repetitive things that come up, repetitive problems. I don't think that should happen. I don't think that we should have to have a talk about the things that are going wrong repeatedly. So I used to have that same conversation with my friend, where it's like, how many times do we have to have this conversation where I'm like, hey, you're doing this thing, man. Hey, man, you're doing the thing again. Hey, my guy, you're doing the thing again. And he would be like, hey, just tell me when I'm doing it wrong. And I'm like, I should have to keep telling you you're doing this thing wrong. Like, if I have to keep saying that to the person, it's like, you obviously don't care and you're only going, okay, he finally reached his limit, so now I know to stop. So it's like, only when I decide to go, hey, you're doing the thing again, then the other person goes, oh, okay, you're right. I'm gonna stop doing that thing. And I feel like it's selfish on the other person because they're not thinking like, okay, they're not taking into account what they're doing and the other person. They're just like, okay, well, until he says something, then it's fine. Even though I know this is a wrong thing, but I'm waiting for that person to tell me this is wrong. And I'm like, that's why I say it's childish. I'm like, that's what children do. They be like, I'm gonna keep doing this thing to my parent until like they catch me. And it's like, oh shit, they caught me. All right, I'm gonna stop. And I'm like, as an adult, I feel like you should know this is a wrong thing to do. Like your brain, I feel like everybody's brain at some point they have a thought where they go, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe this is wrong, or I know I should do this, and they go, fuck it, I don't care. And I'm like, that's the problem. So I feel like when it comes to having even with friends, it's should a friend be somebody that you have growing pains with, or should it be somebody that you just click with naturally? And I've heard people say, well, we used to have fights all the time when we were friends before, and now we're good friends now. And I heard other people kind of like they don't really have that. So I'm always wondering like what makes a better relationship, whether it be a friend or significant other. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Okay, because when I think about the problem that we have, well, that I have personally, which is mostly the cleaning thing, I want to get to the point where we have enough money where I don't have to clean and somebody else can just clean, and then boom, problem solved. But I know what you're gonna say, oh, but it's gonna come out in other ways.
I wasn't gonna say that, but I mean, we're not there. That is true what you said, but how does that help us now?
Exactly, it doesn't. So it's just, yeah. I don't know, because I think growing pains is a thing. Definitely. Especially, I think it is a thing. And I think time does help with stuff like that.
Cause see, this is my issue, is that I feel like I said, it's the repetitive thing, and I don't know if I said on the podcast before, I don't have a problem with new issues necessarily. I don't repeat the issues. I'm like, this has happened 11 times already. This is 11 times we've said this, so it's like, what's happened, like something is happening here at this point where it's like something is not happening, it's not clicking. But if it's like, oh, I didn't know that you don't like this, or I didn't know that you think like that, I know you think like this, then it's like, oh, okay, we could figure out why this is happening and then tackle that thing. But when it's the same thing, I feel like this doesn't sound the same. Hello? When it's the same thing, then I feel like, okay, this is on purpose. That's how my brain goes. This is on purpose. That's how my brain automatically goes to, this is being done on purpose, or in spite of me, this is being done because the other person is not thinking about me. Like I said, if I was to do a thing to somebody multiple times, if they told me that they don't like it, I don't even know how I could justify to them that it's an accident. Like I can't justify, oh, I accidentally kept you know, kicking your sneakers out the door. Like, I don't know. It's the first time I threw them out, my bad. Second time I threw them out, my bad. Fourth time I kept throwing sneakers out. You're like, bro, you threw my sneakers out 6 times already. I forgot. 8. I forgot. You're like, it's been 11 times. It's 11 times. How you forget 11 times throwing my sneakers out? Like, how, it doesn't happen. It's like 1, 2, maybe 6, 7, 8. It's like, this is done on purpose. It can't be an accident. And that's how my brain automatically goes to that. Especially if it's a big conversation. Like, if it's been something where it's like, okay, we're gonna sit down and talk about this thing, and then it happens again. This is done on purpose. 'Cause I can understand if it was like, because I said I've had this conversation with my friends before, where it'll be like, in passing, like, yeah, man, I don't really like that. Oh, okay, but you might be joking. Like, I thought you were joking, bro. And I wasn't joking. Okay, my bad. I thought you were joking. But they're not gonna understand that happening more than once until you say, okay, yo, I really don't like that. But if you say, yo, I really don't like that more than once, and that person keeps doing the thing, and it's like, yeah, this is definitely purposefully done. Like, and I tend not to say purposefully, because I don't think it's done with malicious intent. I think it's just done with disregard, as opposed to I'm doing it because you said that not to do it. It's more so as in I don't care what you said. Not that I'm trying to make you feel bad. It's like I just don't care. Like, I thought about it and I said, I don't care. And to me, they're the same thing. They're like, you don't care and you maliciously doing it is the same thing in my book. So this makes it better too, by the way, if I do this. So, anything else you want to add to that? So, as you guys know, DonivanGray is doing consultations. If you want a consultation, you probably like, what am I gonna get a consultation from you? Why would I do that, Donovan? Well, here's why. Okay, because I have information. Okay, you need information. Okay, it's a symbiotic relationship. Let me give you my information. So, DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and I have perspective. I have a very different perspective on pretty much everything most people do. So you can DM me to get my perspective on whatever situation you are currently going through. We are now welcoming guests, so we shoot between 10 and 12 on Tuesdays. Actually, we started the podcast. I didn't say the time. Whatever. It's like 11:30. We started the podcast. So if you want, just DM me. You come on the podcast. We have a talk, have a conversation. If you have some questions, come with your questions you want to talk about. We good. We excited for that. And if you haven't already, go check out our social medias. Mine is DonivanGray, DonivanGray. My beautiful girlfriend's is AnetaBurn, AnetaBurn. We have multiple projects. You can see where we're.
So, I'm out here. It's my first day back. I'm on my regular bike. So, I want to quit. I really wanted to quit. I wanted to cry. I wanted to just stop because it's raining. I'm like, come on now. First day back, and I got to deal with the rain. Like, it's the worst weather to ride in. It's my first day back. That's what I have to deal with. So I come out here, and my pants are wet. My socks are starting to get wet. My gloves starting to get wet. My hood is wet. My jacket's wet. And I'm just like, are you going to quit? Like, are you going to... Can you say out loud to yourself, Donovan, you quit, you don't want to be rich because it's raining right now? Can you say that? If you can say that, then you don't deserve to be out here getting money anyways. If you can't work in the rain to get money, then you don't need to be working. You don't need to be out here. You need to go become something else, because this is not it. This is like, you don't need to be an entrepreneur, because how can you as a man tell somebody else, yeah man, you know, I had this goal, but it rained. Yeah, my socks, my knees were a little wet. I couldn't do that, so I didn't feel comfortable.
Cooking on the Bamboo Project Food Instagram. You can see what clothes we've made on the Bamboo Project _clothing. We have a music page, a fitness page, a sports page, and we have the Bamboo Project _podcast on Instagram. Go check that out. So, Bamboo Project out.